soca. We go to a little grind. We go to a little back. I saw them youngsters how to wine. Tonight the black man feeling the party. Tonight the black man feeling the jam. Tonight the black man just feels the boogie. Come on, hold on to your man and let we do a little Remember when we was courting, before we had this family. Anyway, Joey playing, two people sort to be there was we. But since we start having children, to make them strong we give dance up. So tonight, my darling, we turning back the hands of the clock. Tonight the black man feeling the party. Tonight the black man feeling the jam. Tonight the black man just feels the boogie. Come on, hold on to your man and let me do a little When my fans and them tell me they find me car going fine, I just simply have to tell them use the driving force behind. Use the one that gives me courage. Use the one that have me great. So for that tonight, my darling, we going out and celebrate. Tonight the black man feeling the party. Tonight the black man feeling the jam. Tonight the black man just feels the boogie.
Welcome everyone, welcome to SPOTT Week 2022. From Monday, that's today, the 25th of July, to Sunday, there are some young people who are going to engage your attention. Members of the public, you are invited to come and listen to the Student Professional Organization of Trinidad and Tobago, better known as SPOTT. And there's no better way to begin than by chatting with a panel made up of the executive team of SPOTT. So let us revisit, let us chat with them, and let us find out about this journey that they have had. I am going to use this opportunity to encourage you to listen to the panel and to ask the panel to tell us more about mentorship and to explain what happened 5 years ago. Just a little secret, this is the group that introduced, they are pioneer leaders, and they introduced mentorship to Trinidad and Tobago in the way that they have done it. And so I'm calling on the leader of the group, none other than President Shona Bernard, who will take us through the whole process. President Bernard, tell us, who makes up SPOTT? What is SPOTT? Introduce us to your executive team and tell us more about them.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Manning. I want to say thank you, first of all, for agreeing to kick off SPOTT Week. And thank you to everyone who's joining us and watching us live. Feel free to drop comments, questions as we continue to have this conversation over the course of the evening. You're seeing President Bernard, and I'm getting a lot of hot and warm flashes, especially being in politics. But I'm Deshauna. I am one of the co-founders and current president of the Students and Professional Organization of Trinidad and Tobago, also known as SPOTT. They're going to be hearing a lot of us saying SPOTT throughout this conversation for short. And I am so very thrilled and honored to be on this journey with a group of dynamic women. We did have a male, Adam Rafu, so shout out to Adam, he's probably watching, who transitioned to our board of directors. But this time around, the women are running things over here at SPOTT, at least on the executive team, that you'll be hearing from a little bit more today, like further on in the conversation. So I'll let them introduce themselves, but to answer your question, Mrs. Manning, SPOTT was started as an organization in 2014, a nonprofit that served as a vehicle to connect students and professionals across the Trinidad and Tobago diaspora. So we operate both in Trinidad and Tobago and in the US. We are governed by a board of directors. We have an amazing board of directors. And this year, we've also added advisory council members that we're thrilled to work with as well. And we've grown from just a team of 5 to now a team of 30 over the past few months. So shout out to our newly appointed operations team, directors, team associates, and all the other folks that are taking up roles in our organizations to date. So I have the pleasure of having 4 other bosses. Their names are Khadija Bishop, Giselle Granderson, Kila Nagardivas, Sunshine, and I will hand it off to them, probably in the order that I said your names, to introduce themselves. Khadija.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Khadija Bishop. I am one of the co-founders of SPOTT, and I serve as our executive vice president. I'm also one of the past directors of our mentorship program, and I still act as the executive board liaison for that group. I usually introduce myself as the resident introvert of the executive board, and you'll see the rest of the board is smiling. But you probably won't be able to tell that, but I think it's important for me to say that in the group. It shapes a lot of how we do things behind the scenes. So that's a bit about me. I'll pass it off to Akila.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Akila Nogaradivas. I'm the public relations officer for SPOTT, and I'm also one of the co-founders. I'm really excited to be here with you all. A little bit about me. I'm based in the DC area, so I'm really excited that we're able to do this via Zoom, and just looking forward to our session today.
Thank you, Akila. Who's
Thank
next?
you. I forgot it. Let me pass it over to Giselle.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I am Giselle Granderson. I am one of the co-founders of SPOTT, and I am also the secretary of the executive team. And I am based in Trinidad and Tobago. So yeah, nice to meet everyone. I'm so happy that you're joining us tonight.
And Giselle, who are you passing it over to?
I am passing it to the one and only Sunshine.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. I am Sunshine Absalom, the newest member to the SPOTT team. I'm so happy to be here. I'm the newly appointed treasurer. I'm just excited to be working with this dynamic group of women.
And we have among us none other than my associate, Judy Fullerton, Otley Fullerton. Judy, just introduce yourself so the members would know you and the public would get to know you too.
Hi, I'm Judy Oxley Fullerton. I'm glad to be here, glad to join the SPOTT team. So we will have a very exciting afternoon planned for each and every one of you. Thanks again, and I'm happy to be an associate with Hazel on this venture.
Thank you very much, Judy, and thank you very much, SPOTT executive team. Tell me, how did you meet? How did you meet each other? Tell us your story.
I'll start. So we met, for me, I met Khadija and Akila during our time as college students, since the title of the conversation for today. We were both, all three of us were in leadership at our respective universities, particularly with regards to Caribbean American leaders and leadership, ensuring that, we had representation on our campuses, advocating for different things, etc. And when we would connect, we would often just kind of talk about naturally back home, how the journey is going, school, classes, jobs, internships. And we recognize very, very often we would all be kind of sharing the same experiences. So SPOTT naturally kind of bubbled to the top and started kind of talking about ideas about like what we can do to fill some of the gaps. So that's how I met Khadija and Akila. Giselle, I met before Khadija and Akila, before I transitioned from Trinidad and Tobago to go to school at American U in Washington, D.C. Giselle, I don't even remember the program we both were a part of. I'm really ashamed to say that, but I don't. However, I know it was really, really dope. And it was a program for budding leaders in the Caribbean regions. It was like some representatives from Trinidad and Tobago, other islands, all that good stuff. And I met Giselle, and I remembered her even like years later, her passion around development for the country, around young people, all of that thing. So we came together and started talking about creating something that we felt was needed. It just came natural for me to hit up Khadija and Akila first, and then needed someone else and be like, let's have this girl named Giselle. So I was like, let me reach out to Giselle. And Sunshine, I have the distinct honor of working with for this year, for the first time.
Very good. So you're really moving from students to leaders. And you started off very early, very young, very dynamic and determined. And that's what I pick up more than anything else, how determined you are to make a difference to yourselves and to this country. Tell me something else about the creation of SPOTT as an organization. What purpose does it serve? Why is SPOTT?
I think I can take a stab at that. So when we first met, we actually, the four of us, so Deshauna omitted Adam. So Adam was involved, our founder Adam. I think Adam was Adam VP of Americans Caribbean Circle at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, Deshauna was president. I was president of Howard Caribbean Student Association. Akila was vice president. We actually, ironically, all met at the embassy in Washington, D.C. for the first time. And we weren't called SPOTT at that time. When we decided to form as an organization, I think that's a weird fun fact about us. We had a different name. I think we went by TTSPS, right? It did not happen at all. And
that should be a trivia.
Yeah. As we got more and more into it, we're like, this name is just not, it's not cutting it. So we have to come up with something. And we actually sat at the embassy and kind of brainstormed and eventually landed on SPOTT. But SPOTT is very much the brainchild of creating something that we didn't see at the time. So we met a lot of trainees in the diaspora, a lot of them older members, part of associations, throughout the US, and very active in Trinidad and Tobago culture and heritage, both in the US and at home. But we didn't see much student-led organizations. We didn't see much youth-led organizations. And we certainly didn't see much avenues for us to be tangibly connected through programs. So not just through social activities, but through initiatives that were long-term and sustaining. And I think Akila was one of the first people who mentioned, hey, we should probably consider having a mentorship program. We have all these, seasoned, accomplished nationals here, and a lot of us in our circles of students looking for the opportunities to kind of learn from some of these other trainees. So Akila, I don't know if you want to talk more about that, but that's a fun fact about why we saw the need to get started with SPOTT in the first place.
Thank you very much. Why mentorship, Akila? Why mentorship?
I guess I'd say mentorship because it's important, right? Because I realized being in these states that there were many avenues for mentorship. I went on these internships. I started interning since my freshman year of university. And I saw all these college students, American college students, that had all talked about these mentors that they had that helped them guide them onto what majors they wanted to do in school, where their next internship was going to be after graduation, where their job was going to be, and even what their lifestyle was going to be like. And I realized we didn't have those resources, right? Our team didn't have those resources. Our organizations at school didn't have those resources. When you asked folks, what were you going to do over the summer? They said, well, I had to go back home. And then we'd say, what are you going to do when you get home? And they said, I don't know, maybe find a job or Lyme. You know, what is there to do, right? We're students. There's nothing we can do. And so I realized there was a difference in mindset between the students up here with resources and our trainees that were up here studying. And even when I spoke to trainees back home, it was the same thing. And so I realized we didn't have that guidance, right, to show us the path, whichever path that is that we wanted to take. We didn't have that person or those people in our lives. And so I would say for Khadija and I specifically, being a part of Howard University Caribbean Students Association, we had alumni that came to us and really supported us. And that showed that how mentorship can be really beneficial.
Very good. Very good. Tell me, what's your vision as an organization? I put it on to everyone. Someone can tell me, what's your vision? What's SPOTT's vision?
I think I could take this question. And I think I would just sum it up very simply, that SPOTT's vision really sees our diaspora more connected. We see ourselves in our diaspora and vice versa. So we always hear the analogy that there's a Trinbagonian in every corner of the world. You could look in Iceland, you could look in probably Norway or Latin America. There's always a Trini. But we're not that connected in terms of, we're just so far apart, but sometimes people look forward to coming back to give. I think what's our vision is to connect Trinidad and Tobagonians all across the world, diasporically, through community, through our mentorship, which is our flagship program, and just through the ability to know that, hey, you know, if you need to connect to home and you can't travel back, volunteer your time or service.
And therefore, what was your goal? Having that vision to connect and to develop. What's your goal?
Well, the goal ultimately, if I could jump in here, I don't know if Sunshine want to join as well, but ultimately the goal will be to ensure that we make mentorship a household name. It's something that we wanted, we desired, even outside of Trinidad and Tobago. For me, also desired while in Trinidad and Tobago as well. And we wanted it to be that, you know, when you hear SPOTT, you understand that we are a resource. When you hear SPOTT, you think of mentorship and not just, okay, I get matched with a mentor and I go about my life, but like a solid mentorship program, a holistic experience, knowing that this is a group of people I could come back to. This is an alumni community that are thinking like-minded, willing to share resources. So ultimately, that's the goal and the vision. And then also to really bridge the gap between the diaspora, because I think that sets us apart in a lot of ways and what makes us unique, because here we are encouraging the diaspora also to remain engaged and invested. I mean, if we're frank, often you kind of hear, well, okay, if you're over there and you're in the US, you have this new life and you're so disconnected. And that is like the furthest thing from the truth. If anything, at least from my own experience, you become even more patriotic. Like you want to wear red, black, and white everywhere. You want everybody to know you're a Trini, right? And I want to correct myself with Trinbagonians, because I want to shout out Tobago as well. So saying all of that to say, for us with SPOTT, it is important to also lean into the diaspora kind of resource that we have, because there was folks excited to come back home, folks to say, you know, I want to mentor, I want to exchange ideas, and the exchange of ideas goes both ways. So I want to also emphasize the fact that it's not just us saying, oh, folks that in the US, you give back only, but there's so much Trinidad and Tobago also has to offer the other way around.
Yeah.
I myself, when I wanted to explore my degree in international relations, I was trying to get an internship in foreign services here in the US and couldn't get one. You know why I got one? Right in Trinidad and Tobago at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Until this day, all of the things that I learned there, now I could apply it. So if the State Department is talking about certain things, I am aware because it's right in Trinidad and Tobago. I was able to go right back home for summer and learn the things and get hands-on experiences. So I think that's one of the.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Khadija, did you want to add
Yes. So this might seem a little ironic because I am the mentorship person, but I just wanted to make a plug here that one of our goals, in addition to making mentorship a household name in Trinidad and Tobago, is really to create impactful programs that are resourceful and necessary within the communities of Trinidad and Tobago, both at home and abroad. So mentorship has been the thing that we have been known for these past 5 years, but especially now as we've added a team of 30 people, and we now have, you know, a community development group, a research and partnerships group, a marketing and comms group, and a finance team. It's important for us to also make impacts using those avenues as well. So I think our biggest goal is to be impactful, to give back, to be a resource to trainees wherever they are.
You know, Khadija, there's something
Yeah, and I just
sorry, could you go ahead, Giselle?
sorry, Mrs. Manning, I just wanted to jump in a little bit.
Everybody has so much to say. I'm so glad.
Yeah, I wanted to just touch on a bit of what Deshauna said and Khadija. So in terms of Deshauna, there was this idea that, you know, Trinidad and Tobagoans, wherever it is you go, you can't really get that much experience home, and the ideology came where you always have to go abroad to get it. But I think we had to drive the point home that you found, like Deshauna found her internship, despite she studied away, she found her internship in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think the key that takeaway should be from this is that you assume because we're Ireland that there's not so much to offer in terms of the job opportunities for the market saturation, but it has opportunities and it has abilities. And I think that's one of the things we need to drive home. And in terms of what Khadija was saying, in terms of the impact of our mentorship program, that's one of the things we really try to do. We try to create opportunities where people are networking in so many different areas that they would have never met this person if they were just in their normal routine of life. But because they join this program, they're exposed to networks of persons that become a web of resource to those persons specifically.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Giselle. I want to add something here. There's a doctor, a neuroscientist, Dr. Richard Boyaziz, and he's also a psychologist. And he said that over the previous 2 to 3 years, because of COVID, he said facilitators and coaches and trainers and mentors have felt the brunt of the COVID experience. And as mentors, as Khadija says, as mentors, I want to ask you, have you felt that brunt? You know, economically, incomes have fallen. Politically, governments are struggling to manage this unprecedented change, this flexibility that's taking place. Socially, we have to grapple and hold hands with each other. And psychologically, we are attempting to preserve others. And more importantly, as mentors, we are attempting to preserve ourselves. Tell me, and I want to ask Judy to join me here, asking you, how are you coping? Judy?
Yes, but I would like to do it in a different way. Just not how you coping, but I would like us to pretend that we are meteorologists and describe it like how you describe the weather. So for the last 5 years, how's the weather up there? So can we start with Khadija first?
I had a feeling that you were going to call on me first. So I would say the weather has changed. I think in the first few years, while we were figuring things out, it was fair to fine. And that continued, I think, up until 2020. So in 2020, when the pandemic happened, we had a cohort ready to go and we made the decision to cancel. So I guess the weather then was, you know, thunderstorms, tornado, maybe a tornado might suffice. Because or hurricane, let me make it specific to our region, hurricane weather. We decided to forego the program that year. In 2021, we resumed, and it was sunny with occasional scattered showers. It was a challenging period for, I think, the entire cohort and for us as well. And I think there was an extra pressure that year when people were vulnerable in their applications about the need for them to be matched, I think we felt like, you know, people are having a hard time. As much as we can, we'd like to try to find people, which I want to point out is unique because we don't have a quota that we try to fill with our mentorship program. We always look for the best fit. And so if we don't match people, we encourage them to reapply, but we never try to fit things where they don't necessarily align.
Thank you very much for that, Khadija. Thank you. Next.
Yes.
Well, we
Sunshine, you've been quiet. Let Sunshine go.
Sunshine.
So, right. Now I have a unique standpoint coming from actually being a mentee during that period. So I would say from the standpoint of being a mentee, it was scattered showers because we now transitioned into a period where there was no longer anything physical. Everything was online. And being Trinbagrian, when you're accustomed, you're meeting and greeting persons, you're going out and you're interacting, you now have to be a part of a program where it's strictly online. So with my mentee and my mentor and I, we were meeting online via Zoom calls. So there was not that personal touch. And we had to then make it personal. So that was a bit of a challenge. However, the transition, starting the program and then going into and developing relationships and building that relationship with my mentor, it then became sunny. And interacting with the members of the e-board at that point in time, it assisted us transitioning into it, because something that they always do, they always call the mentors and the mentees. There's always that follow-up. There's always that connection. Let us know what's happening. Let us know how things are going. How could we improve? And that is very important. So it went from scattered showers because of the pandemic into sunny.
Thank you very much for sharing. Could I ask you to share a little shorter so that we could finish everyone in time? We're going over time. We have 1 hour.
Yeah.
So who's next?
Oh, I would just co-sign. Yes, scattered showers, hurricane. I think we experienced a roller coaster of emotions that paired very well with the weather. But again, I want to echo what Sunshine said. I think at the end, though, at least to me, it was very rewarding, particularly hearing from the participants how much it was needed, how beneficial, how timely it was. And then, just to have folks that in spite of the pandemic, still being able to walk away, feeling uplifted, achieving their goals with their respective mentors, and even considering coming back. Because say we have Sunshine volunteering to come back to serve in a leadership capacity. We have now been able to expand to 30 persons, and I don't think that would be so if we didn't, power through. So that's all I would add on that. And I'll kick it to Giselle if she wants to add anything else.
Yeah, I wouldn't say much more than everything that everyone had said, and just some real windy vibes happening in between. So we had real wind. It had some wind that was holding us apart and then holding us together.
Thank you for sharing that. Akila.
I guess the one thing I would add is that I think whenever you have rainy weather, whenever you have hurricane, anything like that, it causes you to reflect. And I think that's something that we did. And then that's when the rainbow came out. And I think the rainbow is when we did some reflection, did some strategic planning on looking at our organization and what it's going to look like for the next 2 years, for the next 5 years. And we realized in order to do that, we had to expand. And we had to really structure our organization and bringing on these 30 plus people onto our team, onboarding them, getting them accustomed to our core values. I think that's the rainbow that we're seeing now.
That's beautiful, Akila. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I know.
That's fire.
Nice wrap up, Kicks.
Yes, girl.
And I want a little reflection based on Akila's approach. A little reflection. Tell me, looking back on your life, who has helped you the most to get you to where you are today? And I want the audience to join us in this one. A little reflection. 30 seconds. Just look back on your life and give me a sense of who has helped you the most to get you to where you are today. Let's get some paper out. Let's write 3 or 4 names.
I think I got 3 names that came to the top of my mind.
Look at Giselle.
immediately.
Giselle didn't even write. Giselle didn't even write. She ready
When
to
the
go.
time is up, I'll be ready.
30 seconds, Giselle. And let the audience also write 3 or 4 names. Who, and I repeat again, who, looking back on your life, who has helped you the most to get you to where you are today? So we are 1 minute away from 30 seconds. That's good. So let's talk down. Could we ask the audience to jot it down if they can in the chat room or wherever they are, so that we can pick it up?
Sure. We have some comments coming in just praising us about who we are as women. And then we have a question, but not specific to this, Mrs. Manning. We have a question that asks, there was also a mention of things you did outside of mentorship. I think that's a question for probably later on.
So let's read after Dashana.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll come back to the questions and we'll include it. But let's finish this particular exercise. And I want you to share the name of the first person you wrote down. So could someone just say who they thought of, who helped them to get to where they are, and just write the word that comes to mind as you think of that person. Just write in a word that comes to a feeling. When you talk about that person, how do you feel? Again, I'm asking the audience to just write. You may have one of the people you thought about, maybe your grandmother, your aunt, your son. How do you feel as you start thinking of this person and the way the person helped you? Give you another 30 seconds. 30 seconds have started. Who helped you the most? And think of the moment you learned something vital from them. What did they do? How did that make you feel? And just pick out one of the memories. And you can share that in the chat room. What they did and how it made you feel. So now let's write down 1 or 2 words about how you feel. Anybody wants to share? How did you feel, Akila? Who did you identify as helping you and how did you feel?
So it was a little hard for me to pinpoint specific people, right? I kind of grouped them together,
Sure.
right? And so first I had my parents, right? I'm a unique person on our e-board because I was originally born in the US, but I was raised in Trinidad and Tobago. And so I didn't come back to the US until I was 18. And so my parents are actually American. And so it was definitely a different experience being raised by Americans in the Caribbean. And so those were 2 that inspired me, that I think have helped me be very independent and helped me pursue success.
How do you feel as you talk about that? Give me a word.
Oh, how do I feel? Grateful.
Grateful. Thank you very much. Grateful. Khadija.
Definitely my parents as well. And the way that I feel is inspired. Inspired.
Thank you very much for that. Dashana.
Surprise, parents. Parents was first, and then I have some mentors as well. But as far as the word that came to me immediately was protected.
Protected. Very good. Very good. Sunshine.
Right. So 2 people came to mind immediately. One, my mother, and one of my sisters. And it makes me feel so grateful and just full of love.
Very good. Grateful and full of love. And our last board member, Giselle, how do you feel? Who and how do you feel?
It's so heavy, it's so much. But I would say that for me, definitely my mom and my grandmother, because I grew up with them. But the person I'm going to give this piece of my conversation to is going to be my stepfather. My stepfather grew up, basically, long story short, he paid for me to go to school in terms of pursuing my degree, and he did not need to. He did not need to be the father that I didn't have. And because of that, that gave me the propeller to kind of be where I am in terms of academically and in terms of, but he was just helping me with schoolwork. By the way, I failed math like 4 times in CXC, but that's a different conversation. But I still got to do a degree. And I really, really appreciated that. And I think I can't find the word for me that it brings, for me, it brings joy. But what I would say, what I felt at that time for him, it was a vulnerability, because he had to give out of, this is not his child, but he gave so much and he had to be vulnerable to do that. So his vulnerability is really my joy, and it's my.
And how did you feel?
How did I feel, or how do I feel now?
How do you feel now?
It's a joy and it's an honor that it have men outside here that pull the role of fathers, and I feel honored that I was that selected child at the point in time.
Thank you very, very much for sharing, Giselle, to share all of you. I feel emotional. Hearing you feel so emotional. Did anybody from the audience share? Does anybody have any of the words from the audience? You have a shy audience?
Yeah, Akila said in the chat, yes, but not related to this. Yeah, people are sharing other things.
Definitely.
And I want to say, as mentors, what's happening is that, how did you feel? And I'm getting from you a sense of lightness and relaxation and peace. That's what I'm getting, grateful and thankful, happy and joyful and honored. When you think this positive way, there's something that happens in the brain that's called a change in the renewal place. That your brain is just, I'm sure you're feeling it, airy and light. And it is when the brain gets to that point that change begins to take place. You know, we always wonder, how do we bring about change as mentors? How do we focus on people to get them to move from where they are to where they want to go, their vision? And in doing that, there is this feeling of joy, this positive, it's now called positive psychology, where you encourage people to think of the good things. And then you feel that relaxed peace, and then the change begins to take place. And that's what I just got from all of you. That sense of peace, happiness, joy, honor, and a sense of, let's say, we could now move on from here. And therefore, I want to ask a critical question of you as mentors. Whose list would you be on? And I don't want you to answer it now, but I want you to go away with it and think, because it's deep thinking here. Whose list would you be on? Like Giselle was a little surprised at who's on her list. Whose list would you be on? What is your legacy in life? And who have you touched?
Mrs. Manning, that's a very deep question.
Super deep.
And this is what you're doing. You're mentors. You realize that's what you are? You're mentors, and you're doing, and you're going out there to make an impact. What is the legacy that you want to leave as mentors? And I want you over the coming days to do 2 things, to go away and think about it. And more importantly, I want you to call the person who impacted so much of you on you, and to tell them thank you as you continue this journey. And so let's go back to SPOTT. And let's go back to creating that same sense of relaxation and peace and joy and happiness. What are your values? Because you know that values are those important principles that make sure that your community behaves in a particular way. Values bring that sense of peace, values are important, good values, respect. What are your values? It develops the culture. Anybody wants to share the values of SPOTT? That is developing the values that are developing your culture?
Yeah, so I actually want to give you credit for us having core values, Mrs. Manning. I think that, you know, having that very early session where we were able to be, well, myself starting off getting coached by you, which I am very grateful for. And then in part, an extension, moving it over to SPOTT, having a sense of core values, you know it, but making it practical as far as from an organizational standpoint was new, right? It was different. But I'm really, really proud that we kind of sat down and did that exercise, because it always informs the way we operate, how we do things, how we show up in spaces, and how we even build the programs. So, you know, I know some of it is on the screen, respect being a basic line, integrity, being innovative, thinking of, you know, a program that didn't exist. Yes, there are a lot of mentorship programs, but we were very, very bent on ensuring ours was different. Being of service to society. I think what makes us different from a lot of nonprofits is that we're 100% volunteer based. From top to bottom, no one collects a salary at SPOTT in order to do the work. And a collaborative spirit. We are from different backgrounds, different places, and have a lot of different ideas. But if it has to take a 2-hour meeting for us to land the plane on where we're going as an organization, it definitely happens. The last thing that is not on there that I think is becoming a really, really core value to us, and I'm sure somebody gonna jump on this, is accessibility and inclusivity. The way that we have, you know, leveled the playing field on our program, there's so many programs that exist where you have to come with degrees or you have to be in a respective field to be a part. All are welcome, right? All are welcome, whether you have a skill set that you want to apply and mentor and show, a trade, as some folks may call it, or you're in academia or you're an entrepreneur or whatever that is, there's a space for you in SPOTT as well. So I think that even the fact that our program is free, we're not charging like a membership fee or anything like that, but really making it accessible as possible for people to enter in. So I'll say that about our core values.
And thank you very much. The environment, Khadisha, you wanted to say something?
Yes, so I wanted to add one that I think ironically isn't on there, but patriotism. Like I think we had a conversation recently and we're like, how is this not one of our core values? We have Trinidad and Tobago in our name, but it's not on paper. But patriotism, I think, is definitely one of those values
very good.
Central to what we do.
And as you grow, as you mature, you're 5 years into it, it may be time now to pause and then look at it again with the experience that you have, and then to go back and to make the adjustments. But coming out of the environment that you're creating, you are really putting a platform in place to build better relationships, to make sure that you're reflecting all the time. And that's what Khadija just showed us, to make sure that, and I saw it when I chatted a bit with you, that sense of what they call a resonant relationships, that sense of understanding that you need to reflect, to be peaceful, to be prayerful, sometimes yoga, sometimes just massaging, sometimes just physical, just walking in nature. You need to always just go, and that's what your values do as you build an environment and a climate that makes you more responsive. It makes you a coach with more passion, with more empathy, and therefore your vision and your values and your goals, as you sit now and reflect again, as Khadisha just suggested, you can begin making changes. The COVID has helped considerably to bring that about, that sense of mindfulness and psychological and emotional awareness. So let's continue and let's look at some of what has happened. It is that SPOTT has been able to give others, and what sets you apart in this mentorship program. Do you want to show us some of the things that you've done, made you so unique? Do you have any mentor or mentee that would want to sing your praises?
We do. After 5 years and over 250 persons, we do.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's really congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations. Really well done. So could we get one of them to tell us something?
Sure. Christian.
Hi everyone, my name is Anne-Marie Gopal. I am very pleased to have been a part of the SPOTT mentorship program. My mentee Tinil and I instantly connected from the very first day we met each other. We shared a wonderful and memorable journey as we both learned from each other. Our sessions didn't only stop at beauty, but we touched on finances, business, and life in general. We had fun. Tinil and I had a lot of fun. I'm pleased to know that even though the program has ended, Tinil and I remain in touch. I'm just a phone call away. She knows this. I am there to assist in whatever way that I can. And I am super excited for her because she's now the proud owner of her own business. And I feel honored to know that I was able to be a part of this. I was able to help inspire and guide such a wonderful young lady. The program I definitely recommend for others. It is a program that has helped, I have seen it help others. It has helped me being a mentor, and I have seen what it has done for Tinil as well, and I highly recommend that you all continue doing what you are doing.
So, okay, it's fixed now.
Okay.
And Akila, I think they called it. Akila, are you hearing?
Yes.
Yeah, they called on you to answer the question.
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely answer. I can answer based on, for me personally. I think for me, what's helped me for these now it's been 8 years since we originally came up with the idea, right? And I think what's helped push me along is the impact, right? Every time we have an event, every time we have a program, and we can hear the feedback and the impact that the organization has had on people's lives, whether it's from a single event to a full year program, I think that's what drives me to want to continue to do this. Because when I think that it's too much, it's a lot to organize. I mean, we all have full-time jobs and other responsibilities. That's what keeps bringing me back, is the impact.
Thank you very much for sharing.
We have another question as well.
Sure, go ahead.
On YouTube.
Sure.
This is from Jamil, and he said, it's a statement and a question. He said, truly recognize the benefits an organization like SPOTT and love the female representation. He said, curious, what is the male to female ratio of mentees within the organization?
Oh, I know that was going to be
I think that's such an excellent question.
I knew that was going to be the question. Thanks, Jamil.
I can actually take a stab at that.
All right, go ahead.
So right now, so I'll tell you from the application cycle is actually open for our 2022-2023 program. And when last I looked at it today, I think we had about 75% of them being women and 25% of them being men. Unfortunately or unfortunately, that tends to run true for most of our cohorts, and probably also for us as a team as well. So that seems to be the statistic that we might be working with: 3 women for every one man on the team.
But
I like,
tell me something. Hasn't that changed? Because when I was there was only Adam.
It was only Adam, and I was going to point out, it has since changed where Adam is now on the board. We have a former mentor, big up Reggie. He's also now on the board, a male. Christian, who's helping to run this, is now on our director team. We have another male director for our community outreach, Jarrett. So there are men that are definitely
there are men, but we are about 40 people strong, including our board of directors and operations team, and we're still at that 75%. So we're happy to have a lot more men, but percentage wise, we're still kind of operating in the 75% women range.
Are you doing is there a special program to get them on board? Are you e-boarding men?
We're hoping that now that we have a lot more people, that we'll be able to put a lot more marketing into specifically targeting men, and excited about what that could look like in the coming months and years. But we definitely want more men. And so for anybody who is, listening to us now, interested in applying, definitely reach out to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any more questions online?
I did have something that I wanted to add to the first question that was asked about how we did it. I think we did it with a lot of audacity. We didn't wait for permission.
Yes.
We didn't, get approval from anyone. We had an idea. We decided to be the change we wanted to see, and we were like, we're doing this. I think the other how is a lot of time management. It's sometimes very difficult to be navigating full-time jobs and doing this full-time. It definitely feels like you have 2 jobs at the same time. So I would say a lot of audacity, a lot of time management, and a lot of understanding people in our lives. I think everybody on the e-board would attest to the fact that our families and friends know that SPOTT is a big priority for us, and it takes up a lot of our time. And we sometimes have to dance things around that and rope them in from time to time. So,
Khadija, I love the fact that you're talking about dancing things.
We have more questions too as well. We have one more.
Well, we only have 6 minutes, and I wanted to end on time. What do you think?
Do you have time for one more question, Mrs. Manning?
I do, but let's go if you want.
Okay, the last question is coming from YouTube, and the person asked is from Miriam. She said, I was curious, is SPOTT a US or TT registered nonprofit? How do you navigate fundraising, and can individuals make contributions?
Oh, I'm gonna let Sunshine talk about our 5 for 5 campaign that's actually kicking off tomorrow.
Perfect question. So yes, we are registered within Trinidad and Tobago, so locally based, as well as in the US. Now we have made it possible for persons to donate either locally to straight to our bank account, or in the US we do have ways that you could donate there as well. So as the Shauna said, tomorrow we are going to launch our 5 for 5 campaign because we are turning 5 and we want persons to donate 5 within 5s, whether $5, $50, 500, anything like that. You just donate.
500,000 too.
Yeah. 500,000.
5 million.
5 million.
Accepting it all. We are accepting it all. So definitely you can make donations. Just follow our pages on Instagram, Facebook, and you will get all the information there. You just click on the link and it will lead you to all the information you require.
And thank you very much,
And just-
Sunshine. So
Just to make sure, okay, sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to bring it to an end, but you can go ahead.
No, I was just saying the 5 for 5 is for the 5 years of mentorship, the 5 years of the program running, because SPOTT has been around since 2014. So it's definitely for the 5 years of mentorship.
Thank you very much for adding that. And what I've noticed around the tables that everybody has a different style. And I'm saying to the audience that you can join this group, join their different leadership styles, being captured by them, and become part of a very vibrant organization. And as we end, I want them to show you their styles. And therefore, I want you to follow these leaders. Christian, could you give us some music so that the leaders can show their styles? And please, audience,
You have to talk to pop up on the screen for everybody to see us.
Yeah, all
doing at the
full
time.
screen.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader, leader, follow the leader. Follow me. Follow the leader, leader, follow the leader. Follow the leader, leader, follow the leader. Hands up, down, up, down. Everybody now, put one hand in the air. One hand in the air. And we go from left to right. Watch this. Left, right. Left, right. Two more time, two more time. Left, right, 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 left. Follow. Follow the
and to know what we do. We want to develop avenues for them to connect with us so that they can invest and they can grow socially and financially. We are resource lending support. So please join SPOTT. Please get involved.
Sorry, Mrs. Manning. Christian, the viewers can't hear again. So you might need to repeat. I'm sorry. Okay.
And just to say, well, goodbye and wishing you all the best as you move forward and continuing this journey. Wishing you all the best. God bless you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Mrs.
Mrs.
Manning.
Manning.
Thank
as
you.
well. And thank you everyone for tuning in and watching us. Stay tuned for tomorrow.
Yeah.
For the rest of the
Shout out to everybody on the team watching.
Yeah, everybody, of course,
Bye.
SPOTT team was out.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.